Ciao Robby, ciao Lili, ciao Sair. Today we have our super great Lili with us, our super QA. We are so very happy to have you here. Thank you, first of all. How are you?
Good, thank you guys for inviting me. I'm very excited, honestly.
So today we talk about sexual orientation.
Yes.
And my first question about this is regarded to this. Who is Lili today?
That's a very difficult question, actually, because I thought I knew about my sexuality for like 10 years now. And recently I'm starting to question it again. You know, like I came out as bisexual, not publicly, but to myself at 14. And now I'm starting to think a little bit like, okay, maybe I like women more than I like men, or is it just my imagination, you know? Also, I came across a document that is like the lesbian Bible, where it talks about compulsory heterosexuality. So, just to make it a little bit short but clear, it means some behaviors that you do because you were raised in an environment of like heterosexual is the norm, but it's not how you really feel deep inside. Like, I think an example is gonna be more useful. Let's say you go to a club and you go in front of some guys and you start to kiss with your friend just to get free drinks. But then when the guy shows interest back, you're like, no, this is not about you. You know, it was just like to have fun, and I had fun with my friend, my girlfriend, but I don't want anything in a sexual sense with you, a man. I don't know if it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's tough. Yeah, it's
tough. It's like, okay, I wasn't expecting this.
It's tough, and it's also like very long because there's many situations that you can encounter yourself that are part of this heterosexual, you know, like norm. Like also you watch the TV, and when you see a romantic comedy, it's always a guy meets girl, blah blah, you know, the typical thing.
Yes.
And when you see all of a sudden in TV like a lesbian couple, a gay couple, you're like, oh my god, it's a little bit
new.
shocking, or it's like new to you, even though it's the same love,
Yeah.
it's the same relationship.
Love is universal.
Yeah.
But luckily, this thing is changing. At least with the TV series, Netflix is doing a lot of
Yes.
a lot of gay couples in there, like try to make everybody
Mm-hmm.
engage with those kind of things. So it's at least those things are changing throughout the time.
Yeah.
Before it was like this, even on television, it was like so difficult to see men kissing.
Yeah, now for us, but we were talking yesterday, but it depends from country to country,
Yeah.
for example, because that was my kind of second question. Like, I don't know how many years you are here in Spain.
In Spain, 20 years already.
20
Yeah.
years. But like, you lived
In Ukraine from time to time, yeah.
So my question is like, how you, is there any like change living there and here, and how you maybe even the relationship with your parents or with yourself as well here in this environment, because here we are more open-minded for sure, with Netflix, movies and everything, but not in all of the countries are like this. So
Yeah.
and I don't know, so I want to know like how is there.
So let's go like step by step.
Sí.
First of all, for example, I come from Ukraine. It's from Eastern Europe. In general, the vibe there is not very gay friendly. But because of the war, right now, things are starting to change slowly. Like finally, they're proposing a law to allow gay couples to be recognized as equal partners. Because otherwise, if their partner is in the hospital or if they're dying, in the battle, they cannot pick up their body because they're officially not married or they're officially not recognized as their partner. So only the parents of this person have the right to come visit him or whatever. It's still in the process, but it's a huge step because I remember even being a teenager and finally like coming to my senses and be like, okay, I feel like this, I think I'm this way, and trying to talk about that with my friends from Ukraine, and they're like, oh my god, don't talk about that, this is like taboo, I'm not interested, like you'll grow out of it. Well, it's not the case.
You grow out of it, it's like amazing. It's like I never heard of like you grow out of it, but
Yeah, and it took me a lot of time to come to my parents. Actually, I came out to my parents last Christmas.
this one, 2022?
No,
21.
21,
Okay.
yeah. And it was funny because I used the moment that my dad was already a little bit drunk to be like, okay, this is my moment.
I wanted to go there.
Yes.
In vino veritas, you know?
Vino veritas.
Be like, okay, so that I had to tell you something, but I didn't know how to tell you, so now is the moment. I am bisexual.
And he was like, thank God, I thought you were like alcohol free.
No, we don't do that.
That's the thing, it's even worse.
No, but actually it surprised me because all my life he was like super homophobic.
Yeah, he was.
And he was always telling me like, oh my god, these gay guys, they're so flashy. I don't like people like doing these parades because you already have the rights. You know, this kind of speech. And when I came to my dad, his answer was, I knew it. I'm like, okay, how did you know? Yeah, well, you know, like maybe the way I was dressing when I was a teenager was a little bit more tomboyish, right? And in general, he was like, look, I don't understand, but okay, you know, I love you. I'm like, okay, that's the best answer you could ever give me.
Absolutely.
But like 2 months later, I came to my mom, and actually she told me like, oh my god, don't talk about that anymore with me because that's disgusting. And it was very shocking for me to hear that from my mom.
Imagine.
But what happened during this year since I came out is that during Pride, I was telling them like, hey, I'm going with my friends from my company as well. They're also part of the LGBT community. And I'm going to support that, just so you know. And they were like not very happy about it, but like, okay. And recently, actually last Sunday, we went to a concert. The artist is a drag queen.
Hey, you told me that.
And I jokingly said to my mom like, oh my god, I think this guy might be gay or bisexual. And she said, we love them all, it's fine.
So she
finally did the
process.
Yeah.
Well,
And it was thanks to you.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because that's great. Wow.
I want to connect to something related to the thing of your dad and your mom, for example. You have like two straight people. Let's identify them. Yeah. They gave you two different reaction and opinion about it. You know. How do you feel about the fact that I'm talking as a straight guy? Sometimes for straight people, it's difficult to say anything about the LGBT community because they could be like misunderstood. You know?
Yeah, it's funny because of course everything comes from the tone or the intention and also some words, right?
Yeah.
You can not say like, I don't understand you and use like a derogatory term.
Okay.
And also some things that are very funny is that some people are really curious, but they don't notice that they're being rude. Like a common question is, for girls is like, oh my god, how do you guys have sex?
This is a little bit of a stupid question. We're not talking about aliens, we're talking about humans. So.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't ask you what you do in your private life or in your bedroom, so why are you asking me that question, you know? But if you come to me and say like, hey, I don't understand, how did you realize that you were gay, bisexual, or whatever? Explain me your experience, explain me your feelings. I'm gonna tell you everything about it because I know that you're curious, you want to learn. And how we build respect and how we build awareness is by teaching this, is by, like actually being open to communication.
So you would say like when you're gonna say something, you're gonna read the room first.
Yeah.
Because maybe this is my case sometimes because I just say things in a genuine way, in a good way, but I just like, I'm just like I even if I say something that it could be mean, I'm not saying it in a meaningful way, So
But it depends even like from the person that you have in
See.
front of you. With Lili is super easy, is different. The confidence that we have with you, and you know us, so you know that when we are joking or not, even though he's more the black humor, yeah, he's doing that, I'm not, but yeah, it's true, like for us it's not easy because there is a little thin line between saying what you think and for them like being judged. So I think it's more like the way you say the thing are more important than the thing that you are actually saying, because judging someone, especially in this scenario, it's like we can be very, very close to that.
Borderline.
Yeah, borderline, yeah. So now you are still in processing, like developing to know yourself.
Yeah.
You took some step back.
Yeah, I'm like in this point of my life that I don't know if I am still in the same place, if I need to move forward or back or to the side, but again, I'm 24. It can happen that at some moment of your life you have this like crisis. You can have it at your 20s, you can have it at your 40s, and rethink a little bit what you do in general with your life, and can happen to any topic specific. Where do I live? How do I feel emotionally or sexually? Am I happy about my job? So I think it's good sometimes to get in touch with yourself and be like, okay, am I feeling comfortable? Is there something I can do to feel happier, feel more fulfilled? So one of the topics that I have right now in my mind is this one.
Oh, okay, cool. It's like it's so deep. It's so deep. But something that I was thinking, it was like before you were about to come out, like, to yourself. I'm not talking about to your parents. How would you feel? Like how did you feel at the time? Because everybody, I'm not afraid to say that everybody throughout their life, they got a point. They got like some thoughts about it. Wow, who am I? What am I? Everybody's got it. Let's make this clear. Nobody's like since the beginning. I know what I like. Throughout your growth process, you understand it. But for you, like since we're like in with situation more like pointed in one direction, how would you feel before? Like you're already feeling it, or already?
Yeah, it's something that you feel from early age, right? I was thinking all the time when I was a kid, like, oh my God, this girl is so beautiful. I must be jealous of her. Of her being so nice, of her being so beautiful. I just want to be like her. Not to be with her because you don't understand yet the romantic part of it, until at some point you're like, okay, what I feel is not jealousy or admiration, it's actually a little bit beyond, and it's a feeling, an attraction, like wish for romance.
See, because you were a kid, so maybe you didn't develop the sexual part of in your brain.
Yeah, of course.
Growing up, that comes out, and then you were like, okay, now I got it. Maybe.
Especially you come out at the age like 14, that your hormones are like super crazy,
are bubbling.
So,
yeah, like super curious.
You're super curious and you're super excited about everything, so you feel everything like 3 times more than you feel right now, for example.
So now you got the moment to think about, the water is calm. It's not like bubbling anymore, so...
That's exactly it. Like I think the last 10 years have been like all this bubbling moment, and now it's like, okay, let's sit down and think what's, like...
Wow.
It's tough. What do you think about it? She has some thoughts and questions.
That it's a lot. I mean, it's completely different for me. Like I never had this in my mind, so I can just learn from this, because I think all of us, like, we have to sit down at some point in our life and ask questions to ourselves. But of course, I asked some different questions, not in these kind of things. Like, I was pretty sure and didn't have any doubts about that, even though I think that during the years that it's nice kind of to I'm not saying trying, but to open your mind in some other perspectives, like knowing more about people, about their gender, what they want to be, who they want to love, and accept that somehow. Because even nowadays, things are really changing a lot.
Yeah.
We were talking yesterday about a lot of kind of definition of specific terms that I didn't know, and I want to know, because people are into these things, you know, like everything is changing. So for me, it's really interesting, but it's huge what you are saying. And my next question is, if you ever felt different, and if you ever felt like someone is judging you in a bad way, and you were not, because you're confident with yourself as a person, but I don't know you before working here. So in your past, have you ever felt, even now, like different in a negative way? Like,
Yeah. When I was in school and before actually realizing how I am, I got a lot of comments like, "Oh my God, you dress very boyish. Oh my God, you look like a lesbian." But it was in a negative connotation. Right now, you tell me exactly that, I'm like, okay, yes, I am. But before it was like, oh my God, I am wrong. I am something that is not correct. But it's not supposed to be like that. And I think nowadays what we're doing is a lot of this exercise of telling the kids that all these things now, it's okay to feel it, to be it. But before, no. Before being called a lesbian, I was like, oh my God, no, I don't want to be this.
And how you changed? Like, what happened that you changed and now you are so confident? Like,
I don't know. It changed a lot as well since I moved to Barcelona, because it's a big difference. One, a household that is like kind of homophobic, then living in a small town, that people are mostly not that open-minded.
Yeah.
You come here and you see 1,000 people that are like just like you, and you're like, okay, I'm not this weirdo anymore.
Yeah.
I'm just like one of them. So cool. And you start to meet people, especially it helped me a lot here in TCX. Before, the company I was working in, or the companies, were all as well the same, like heterosexual normative, cis normative. There was no one in the company that was openly out of the closet. And here people are like, yeah, I'm like this and that, so what? Let's go grab a drink and talk about our experiences. And you're like, okay, I like that. I feel like it's like a hug to my soul to be in this environment.
I think also it's related to the fact about the bubbling water, because I had the same experience but in a different way. When I was a teenager, I was a metalhead. So I was like the misfits of the school, Nobody was talking to me.
I mean, I was in there
both.
so.
Good.
that's why you two are like.
So it was like when you're there, like let's try to like put it in imagination. It's been like you're in the sea that is like in a thunder. The waves are coming, and each wave is people that are judging you.
Yeah.
And you have like an anchor point. When the water is settled, you have an anchor point. So each wave that comes, it doesn't hurt you. This is the thing. So it was like everybody was judging me because I had long hair, I was dressing. So I get to the point that even in the straight world, these things happen. It's not about sexuality; it's about who you are each time.
Yeah, it can happen in many aspects, like the way you dress, your skin color, your nationality,
Cheers.
your sexuality. Like, I don't know.
You name it.
Yeah, you name it, and it's there.
But it's crazy sometimes because. Like each moment of your life, you have this different thought about it. Right now, I'm in a moment that I feel in love. I feel love with someone, and the more you feel love, this topic, the more it makes the more makes sense, because like love is what it is, so there's like this artist, a doctor in Italy called Benigni. He does like amazing like talks about love, and he said like this word love. I don't remember if it was correct, you correct me. Love is like length of life, love so you can live, something like this. It was something like that.
Standing ovation.
Grazie.
Oh my god.
So
there was this silence. Bravo, Roberto. And actually this Benigni, the name is Roberto.
Roberto Benigni. Like the movie like
La Vita
La Vita è Bella, but it's not this the part. He did this movie when he won the Oscar. But this is the thing. So it's like love is fluid. Let's let it come as it is. And now these things makes more sense because when I was in love, when I was brokenhearted, I don't care about anything. This is it. But it's nice. It's nice.
And also, is that like nowadays finally people are understanding that one thing is love, one thing is sexual attraction. It doesn't need to go in the same direction. You can be attracted to men and women, but only be able to fall in love with a man or only with a woman.
And you would say that defines your sexuality?
It gives you an extra layer, an extra like spiciness to like, okay, I'm this way, but also like.
It's just like if you like pizza with ananas or not.
No, you like just both, but
no.
Oh my god.
Pizza with ananas. It's a topic.
This part because
it's a topic we cannot say.
No way. But I mean, you like both, but as you said, love is something else. Like attraction and love they have to be combined, of course, but attraction can be in a different, like going in a different way of love. And actually, I have a friend of mine in Italy that she has been with a girl. They were dating and everything, like having whatever they wanted to have. Mm-hmm. But then now she's married with this guy. They have children and everything. And when I asked her, like, but how it happened? And she was like, it doesn't mean that I have just to like, of course now I'm married with my husband, but I was attracted by this girl. And I tried because I wanted to try, I liked her. But then I got that I felt in love with my husband right now, and I have children. But I can say that at least I tried and I liked it, but I felt in love with someone else.
Exactly. So she, in this case, would be like bisexual in the sexual attraction, but straight in the romantic sense.
Yeah.
And it can happen. And I think way more people that you think are like this, and they don't even know it.
It's true.
I want to, because this topic is so huge, I could talk about it hours. So I want to close it with this question for you. If you had in front of you the Lili when she was 14 years old and she was struggling, what you would say or what you would do?
I don't know. I would say stop being a little horny teenager, but you cannot do that. And also stop wearing like all of these bracelets with pins and stuff. It's not useful, it's not comfortable. Just keep it simple.
I like it. So thanks again to Lili, Sair, Sara, myself, thanks to myself. And and thanks to everybody who's watching and supporting this podcast. See ya.